What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves, physically, emotionally, and spiritually?
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching The Moore Show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. Now for the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Karen Swain. Now she's a spiritual teacher of deliberate creation, and she joins me all the way from Australia. Karen Swain, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, I've watched your show many times. It's come up on my related videos, and
likewise.
It's great to finally connect with yourself from someone from Australia as well, because I've got that knowing that I'm going to be going there at some point in my life. I just know I am, that there's things to do there.
Yeah, Australia's a great place. I'm a big fan, I've got to say. I'm a big fan of Australia. Love it down here. And I can see you coming down here too, definitely. You're going to feel right at home in Australia. I know that you've got plans to head over to the States, but you're going to feel right at home in Australia, I feel.
Absolutely. No, I do actually have plans to go to the States in September, as you know. And just to let everyone know, we connected a few days ago when I was not in the best place, but actually I was in the perfect place. I was having my own, you could call it dark night of the sort of breakdown, depression, whatever you want to call it, right? I was definitely going through that, and it was funny. We had our interview planned for then, and it ended up, I may as well have been laid on my bed having a counselling session with you, right? But it was, it was brilliant. It was brilliant because it really helped me out. It really helped me out, and you was just saying off air as well, that I was suffering from that symptom of, being able to say the words, but not always, embracing or living by what was being said. And that's so true. So true. When it comes to law of attraction as well.
Look, exactly. I know that you're putting some videos out and about the law of attraction, and that's how we connected. You sent out a video saying, I'm going to do some videos, an email. And I said, well, that's my specialty. That's what I talk about. And the thing about law of attraction, I've been studying it. I'm a teacher of it, and I'm a student of it, an eternal student of it. I've been studying it forever, for years. But living it, I remember screaming at my family saying, you're all victims. And I was the victim, like living it and knowing it are two very, very, very different things. But we can regurgitate like what we should do, the 1, 2, 3 steps, like visualize and be happy and all that sort of thing. But when you hit your stressful thoughts, and that's what you were doing the other day, you weren't having a dark night of the soul, you were just believing your stressful thoughts. We all do that all the time. We come up against a wall, our subconscious thoughts just rise to the surface and knock us around, right? And we think that what we're thinking is true. and we think that that's how life looks, and we get knocked around by these subconscious beliefs that are limiting our perspective of life. And we stress out, we get really stressed out, and we look down our future timeline and nothing looks clear, and we have no clarity. And you were just in that perfect place when we connected, just believing your stressful thoughts. And so I was just helping you, overcome those stressful thoughts. And nothing I said to you, you didn't know, because interestingly enough, after our conversation, I went and had a look at your videos, and it was like everything I had said to you, you had on your videos. And I'm like, wow. And, but living it's in those moments of believing your stressful thoughts that you've got to know how to overcome those. And some of the stuff that I do, I love Byron Katie, because she says, just love. Have you had her on your show?
Not yet. I'd love to.
I've been asking her for 5 years, and I've had 5 years of rejections. There are only two people that I adore the most, Abraham Hicks, Esther, and Byron. And they're the only two people that have ever said no, because they're too busy. They're always too busy.
Yeah.
They didn't say, no, we don't like you. They just said, we're too busy.
I think a lot of people have, I think they only connect with what feels right in their heart to do. And that is the key towards. Now, that's not to say you're not a good or worthy or whatever person. I'm saying it's what's resonating with them. It's their higher self saying, no, actually, you've got to stay at this project right now, what you're doing and everything else. I meet these people recently that are living their life by just going with what makes them feel the most empowered and happy doing, because it's got them to where they are right now. Yeah. Even if on the outside it doesn't look very far, but to them it's exactly where they need to be, and that is empowering when you meet these people, right? So that's what they're doing in a way. It's not, because I think when you do get a platform, I think you have to pick and choose a little bit. I think you do, but because your time is just, even for me right now, minutes, hours, hours turn to minutes, and it just goes, doesn't it? The day is gone, right? If you're not in that happy mode and you're not doing what's fulfilling to you and trying to be of service and all that kind of stuff. Before we get into all that, I'm just going to rewind this as a normal interview just a little bit, and very briefly with yourself. Just how did you get into being a talk show host online? How the hell did that come about? Because I don't think that was ever in your life path. You had a very different corporate kind of job before, didn't you? Before you got into the holistic, best you can be metaphysical subjects.
No, I've never been a corporate person. I've played with it in my mind. I've always been a creative person. When I was young, I thought I was going to be a dress designer, or I was going to be an actress or a singer or a dancer or something. I played with all those creative pursuits. But fast forwarding to how did I get online? About 6 or 7 years ago, I started thinking about, a couple of years after The Secret came out, because I, like Rhonda Byrne, had this desire for people to know about how powerful they are, like a burning desire. And I think that, 10 or 15 years ago, when I was knowing this stuff but not living it, I really could not get my message across to people, because they saw me talking all this stuff, but they didn't see me living it, and they didn't listen to anything I said. And I had thought, but people need to know. They need to know about the law of attraction and how you can be deliberate in how you create your reality. And I thought that wouldn't it be great to put it on radio, have a talkback show on radio where people ring up and ask you questions, and you give them some really decent advice, empowering advice, not sort of cycle. Let's just, wrap over what's all your problems. Let's focus on all your problems and expand that, because the thing about law of attraction is that whatever you're focusing on, you're expanding. So you can't scream no at the universe, because as you scream no at anything, any resistance you have to anything, you expand on that energy. And that's something I learn over and over and over again, because I've got a very critical mind. So whenever I see something and go, I don't like that at all, it's always put back in my face to look at, like I've got an email sitting on my computer. Do you want to interview this guy? And I looked at him and went, nah. I said no like 5 times, and it just keeps coming back in my face. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to look at this. Maybe I need to put aside my critical thoughts. And, what you resist persists. So back to that. And I said to a friend of mine who's a psychic, she was at the time, she's still a psychic, but she was one of those mainstream psychics, tell your fortune, speak to your dead grandmother type thing. I've been thinking about going on radio. She said, great, let's do it. And so the two of us started with Talkback. We had no audience at all. We were just on local community
Wow.
radio. We had no
Wow.
one listening. So we'd ring up people and say, will you ring us up and ask us questions?
Yeah.
And Pam would give them a psychic reading. People love that. She'd say things like, oh, I can just see that you've just renovated your house. I'm looking at the back of your house. Like she'd be like remote viewing. And then I would give them a law of attraction reading. And the two of us did that for about 6 months. And then she retired, or actually her husband retired. She didn't retire. And she went sailing with her husband. I moved to a bigger station, and the station did not do talkback because it didn't have a 7-second delay. So I couldn't get people to ring up and ask me questions anymore. And I'm like, oh, I'll have to rethink this. That's when I started interviewing people, because I thought maybe I can just demonstrate through people's life stories how we are the creator of our own reality and how we can get over our stressful thoughts. So I loved putting people on that had tragic things happen. One of the first people I interviewed was a guy here in Sydney. He was an orthodontist. His name is Dr. Ian. Oh, I've gone blank. It's like years ago. It'll come to me in a minute. He was a very successful, wealthy orthodontist who had the perfect life. 3 girls in private schools, lived in the beautiful house of Lara here in Sydney, beautiful. And he said to his wife a couple of days before the incident, we just have the best life, aren't we? We're just the happiest people. We just have the happy. Well, a couple of days after that statement, she was murdered in the middle of the night. And actually in the middle of the day, sorry. And it was huge news here in Sydney. And he was a man of science that never looked into anything spiritual or religious. And then this dreadful thing happened to him, and it totally rocked his world. And he was a man who was very controlling. He was successful. He was intelligent and pretty happy. But when this thing happened and he was kneeling on his knees over the blood-soaked, dressing room, she was murdered in her dressing room after the body was taken away, he just fell to his knees and said, spoke to a God he didn't believe in and said, I don't know what to do. I surrendered. Like he just surrendered in that moment. And he had this experience of grace and knowing. Kevin, he was channeling in that moment of surrendering the mind, which says, I've got all the answers. In that moment of surrender, he had this knowing come over him, and he got up off the carpet, and he knew exactly what to do. And his story goes on. And so I put people like that on the show who demonstrated that we can get over our stressful thoughts as well as our stressful situations, and that the contrast that we experience, the problems that we experience, the drama. You were in a state the other day where you were believing your stressful thoughts, and sometimes they're the most enlightening things that happen to us. That contrast gives birth to desire, because when we hit the wall, we think, how can I fix this? How can I get over this? What next? And that desire wells within us. And when that desire wells within us, it gives birth to probable realities. It gives birth to timelines. It gives birth to our future. And then we have to let go of the stress and let go of the resistance to what is, start loving what is instead of saying no. And all those answers become available. Our thinking clears up. Right? We start thinking, we start getting inspiration and aha moments and right. And then the next step, you know what to do next, and you know what to do next. And then the path becomes clear. And that's deliberate creation, It's not visualizing and writing down what you want. It's overcoming your stressful and limiting thoughts and allowing your inner being, your higher self, your guides, your mob, God, whatever you want to call it, your angels, allowing them to inspire you, talk to you, guide you, and help you on your life journey. And and so I have conversations like that with people, just like you, Kevin. I like to really illustrate that, illustrate possibility.
Absolutely. You've interviewed some wonderful people, and you could continue to do that as well. And I love the why that you set it up that way. I mean, I can't say I set my interviews up I set my interviews up when I was at university, right? Yeah. As a mature student, right? Yeah, I knew I went to uni because I wanted to do my talk show. That's why I went there. I started at a radio degree course, and I changed it in the last couple of years to TV. Um, and yeah, okay, so that's how this show manifested. But I like that you started yours based on the law of attraction. That's really, really cool. And that even that first guest that you've mentioned there, OMG, that's amazing. That's amazing, the story he went through, and that surrendering as well. That is so powerful. My God, that's a whole show we could talk about his story just in what's remaining here.
Surrendering that mind that wants to control everything all the time. And as you go through this journey, as you become a better deliberate creator or a more powerful, genius creator, life actually starts to look like you start to become really chill. It's just surrender. Like, even dealing with you, I've had to be in that surrender the whole time.
Right. Well, yeah.
Didn't turn up on time, and then it came late. And
I'm terrible.
But, here's the thing: if I was somebody that wasn't a deliberate creator, I could get really upset about it. But I have this knowing, because I speak to my mob. I think that tuning into your guidance is something that's so powerful, because when you're in your little egoic mind asking a million questions, they're talking to you all the time and calming you down. But if I didn't have that knowing, I'd do all this sort of who I used to be. I used to be on time, scheduled. It's got to happen this way. If we set it up this way, that's good. And now I'm just like, whatever happens, it happens when it happens. Today we can do it today. We can do it tomorrow.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's so cool how our paths have crossed, right? It's so cool. Here's the weirdest thing. The other day, I was listening because I've been so lost and I'll tell you why I've been lost, because just so everyone knows, is that I've got I had so much money left. I was planning, I'm planning on saving to go to the US and everything, and the universal carpet was pulled from my feet in a sense, because I'm trying to keep this brief here, right? Because my YouTube channel collapsed in the sense of monetization, other forms of income all collapsed around me, and there's just been nothing coming in, and I'm like, oh my God, how do I, what the, and after all the people that I've interviewed and everything that I've known, it's still a struggle sometimes. It's still a struggle. But I tell you what, speaking to yourself, it just helped me to remember what I knew deep within, right, and come out of that place, and it was almost like we kind of built a bit of a connection there that we were meant to, right? I'll just say that without putting words in that aren't there, right? And I think when you release, let go, go within, and try to do something that you're the happiest doing, then that's one way forward in this. What you just said there about speaking to that inner voice, because in all this craziness, right, if I was to channel now, it would say, everything's perfect, Kevin, you are on the road, everything is wonderful, you're going to get everything you want, going to America in September, just keep moving forward. It would say, I'm personifying words that I don't know, but that's what it said a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And I remember saying to my dad just recently, I was like, just the past few days ago, I'm like, I don't understand this, Dad. You know what I mean? This voice in my head, it makes, and I'm quite a grounded person in channeling, right?
Yeah.
I question it all the time in some respects, and I try to keep myself grounded because that's just the person I am. And, Dad, I know it sounds crazy, this voice in my head, but I'm trying to trust it. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, well, listen, what put that to one side, because he's not totally into it. I love my dad, but he's not, he's got his own truth, and that's cool, right? He's and I would never want any other dad. And but he is quite spiritual, but we're very spiritual. But when it comes to this is the kind of fringy areas in some people's respect. And right. And he said, well, if that, you've got to look after yourself. Where's you in any of this? Where's you looking after yourself? And if that's, you've got to do something else, then that's what you've got to do. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just feel like I should stay on course.
I want to talk about that, because that's so important.
Yeah.
When people say you looking after yourself, because the only way to look after yourself, it's not what you do. It's really not what you do. The only way to look after yourself is to change your stressful thinking. Because when you're stressing about something, what we do is we think, and we had this discussion the other day, we think inside our stress, I've got to fix this. I've got to change this. I've got to do something to make this different. But what we've got to do is we've got to change the thought. Because when we change the thought, we change the vibration. And when we change the vibration, we feel it. And we feel it as positive vibration or better feeling vibration. And interestingly enough, that's the only thing we need to do in those times of stressing, is to stop the doing, stop and shift the thinking. So there's a myriad of ways. You can come and see me, have a reading, or you can meditate, put on some music, but you've really got to tackle those limiting thoughts. I was going to say, that's why I love Byron. It's like, challenge those stressful thoughts. Is it true? Is it true? And then, well, the other thing that I know is that when there is contrast happening in your life, drama happening in your life, what's it teaching me? What's it showing me about myself? And what is the desire birthed from it? Like, I'm hitting something that I'm saying no, and what am I saying yes to? Because this is what we do. I remember talking to a girl that had left her husband, and she was hating on him, and nothing was positive in her mind. And the conversation with her was, what do you want? And she was like, well, this is what I don't want. And I said, but what do you want? Well, let me tell you what's going wrong. And I said, but what do you want? And she stopped, and she was an English girl. She stopped and she went, I thought, I don't understand the question. She was so focused on what was wrong with her life that she wasn't listening to the desires birthed underneath the no, because the no was so loud. And when she stopped to listen to what she wanted, well, I want this and I want that and I want to feel like that, but let me tell you what's going wrong. No, don't go there. What do you want? And that's what we've got to do. We've got to take our focus off the step one, like Esther says, ask. And that asking is the stressful thought. That's our asking. It's the sickness. It's the feeling of anger or depression or frustration. It's the life situation, because in any time that you experience contrast, you give birth to desire. So the step one process is always the frustration. And Esther says it so beautifully, someone's hit by a truck, she goes, they're having a really powerful step one moment. Near-death experience, it's so powerful step one moment.
Right, exactly. That's what a near-death experience is. It's the only way that person was going to wake up to their true understanding of that they're a soul having a human experience, and they're in charge of this reality, right? You're all in charge of this reality. I did surrender a few nights ago. I remember I don't normally pray to God, right? And because I believe it's me having a human experience. That's my truth. And I said out loud, I said, listen, if I've got my truth wrong, which I'm cool about that, right? I just know there's more than this. I mean, even though I channel, I'm cool about whether that experience is something even greater than I understand, right? Yeah. But it does help people right now. I'm not going to I don't try to label things too much, because the vastness of what is when we cross over is just beyond my concept. It's like trying to figure out what the infinitive universe really feels like. You can't get it in your head, right? So I just prayed and I said, look, I surrender. This is what I want. I want to go to the US. I want to do this and that. I know I've got to go over there because it just feels like I need to get there. And then once I'm there, I'll know what I'm doing. I know that sounds a bit crazy as well, right? But I just know I have this massive pull to want to go there, right? Yeah. So I surrendered, I did that, and I'm just thinking now things I did just recently. And then after that conversation with yourself, I kind of just, wasn't worried about what's going to happen in 2 months when everything runs out, like money and everything. Just the focus is on today. The focus is on what am I doing today? Because if I worry about where I'm going to be, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So stay on the focus.
What am I feeling today? What am I feeling?
Yeah. What am I feeling? Right. Exactly. Today? Yeah. And then I got down to the feeling.
They're all about the doing, because that was the conversation we had. It's like, well,
yes.
Do. And I'm like, but how does that feel? What does that feel? Like us women, we're all about the feeling, and I shouldn't say that at point blank, but that's
no. Say it.
Well, there's a lot of guys that feel a lot, and a lot of women that don't. But in the paradigm, in the current paradigm that we've been playing with, it's like think and feel. Men think, women feel. And they call
Yeah,
that
of course.
feminine. They call that right brain, left brain. But in fact, all of us think and feel. All of us are masculine and feminine. All of us have a right and left brain. You know, we are one. We like to, as humans, we like to separate. But there is a dominance, and it is a paradigm that men want to think and do, and women want to talk and feel. But the feeling sense is really the crux of this. It's not like your feelings are creating per se. Your feelings are your indication of what you're vibing, because what creates is your vibe, your energy, your vibration, your frequency. That's creating, that's attracting. Ooh, it's just so delicious. And you know what that is because you feel it. And that's where a lot of people get undone with law of attraction. You know, they say your thoughts are powerful or your emotions are powerful. It's all powerful, but your vibe, your vibration is how you're perceiving life and how you're creating life.
So if you can get into that energy space in what you're doing, it's just that love for it. There's a lot of love for it. And
That's the road. That's the path. That's absolutely
right.
the path. Even when you don't know how, you know, because our critical mind comes in, you feel something and you go, oh my God, that lights me up so much.
And how are you going to do it? Yeah.
And then the how comes in, and then you go, oh, I can't do that because I don't know how. And that's where our human mind takes us astray, because the step 2 process is orchestrate the details, and that's not our job. You know, that's the job of the universe, as Esther says, or God's job, or your guides or your angels, or it's actually the job of law of attraction, because law of attraction coalesces and attracts everybody that comes together that has a similar vibe, a similar vision, a similar intent, and brings people all together so that, you know, they can see this vision unfold in this dimension, because every vision that you've ever had already exists in a dimension, on a timeline. The fact that you're perceiving it means it's real. So as you know, the universe guys, with the brothers, what are they called? Thoughts become things. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are real. Thoughts are things. And we as humans, you know, have been using thoughts like, oh, it's just imagination. Oh, it's just your imagination. It's just a dream. But every thought is a reality that you're tuning into. The more you think about it, the more you focus on it, the more you bring that thought into physical dimension. So negative or positive, that's the way law of attraction works. Whatever you're focusing on, you're coalescing into a denser vibration. You're literally bringing the particles together to create a denser vibration that creates a physical manifestation. And law of attraction doesn't say, I'm only going to bring you good stuff or bad stuff. Law of attraction just says, law of attraction, whatever you focus on, you attract. It has no judgment in that, no judgment at all. So it's up to us to be deliberate. And so those feelings of, oh, this turns me on so much, that's it. You know, that's your guidance saying, that's for you. Yeah. That's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah. So am I allowed to share some of what we talked about the other day?
Of course, yeah. If we can't have transparency between us, we're not helping no one, right? So let's just share it. So
no, I was tuning in. It was beautiful, but I was tuning in, and Dolores Cannon is one of your guides. Like, I know that you sort of promote her stuff, and I've seen her on your show and stuff. But she was very present, and she was chatting away, and you were saying, "I don't know what the name is. I don't know what the name is." And the two of us, and she just sat back. She was giggling at you, and she just sat back and she said, he's got the name. He's going to love it. And she wouldn't give it to, I said, what's the name? Come on, Dolores, you've got that broader perspective now. And she wouldn't give you the name. And when you receive the name through your own connection rather than through me, you know, wasn't it exhilarating? Like he said, wow, yeah. Isn't that beautiful? Mm. And that's what I believe a reader should do. A reader should not give you answers, but show you how to get the answers. I mean, give you guidance and give you what they know. Like I've got the tribe talking to me, but they hold back. Like I edit a lot of things I say, believe you me, but they hold back because it's like when you're helping a baby walk, you don't do the walking for them. You know, you let them stand up and fall and stand up and fall. And once they get it, and
That's exactly how my channeling like. It will sometimes not even, it will never help me as that, right? It guides me in some ways. Yes, if I say, what do you think, this is what I'm going to do, and it's like, yes, do that. That's an empowering thing, but it will never say, this is what you should do. This is how we think you should do it, right? It doesn't use exactly that kind of language. It's like, it's as though you are in charge.
You're in charge.
This is your journey. You've got to just go with the guidance as well that's coming through. And again, we all have the ability to channel and tune in. It's just another word for connecting with your guides, listening to your higher self,
inner being,
gut feeling, whatever
intuition.
it is. When some people say, I just always listen to my gut feeling, they're actually listening to their greater part of themselves, which is them. I know I make it sound very disconnected, but it's all one as such. Most definitely, we are that, but we are just a kind of, it's almost like we've got to forget me not when we come here. We just forget our true essence of who we truly were to have this experience. I always try in my teachings or when I do my shows to talk about, that we don't want to get too lost in the where we're going to or where we came from. We're here to have a human experience, but what it does do by talking about these subjects is gives us the power back to know that we are the master creators of our reality right now. Even when things go wrong, when things go wrong, I'm starting to realize more and more now. It's like this, I'll say this, my money was pulled from me so that I would totally be in alignment with that one thing that would make me happy, because with the money there, it sometimes puts you off. If I had continued with the YouTube channel like I was going, I would have just said, oh yeah, I'm kind of happy just continuing like it is because it's just continuing, when really deep down there is no real fulfillment there, and there's no real happiness. I'm now doing the shows. Well, not as happy as now I'm in alignment with what I should be doing, right?
Well, here's the thing. Money can be a catalyst for change, like having money pulled out can definitely be a catalyst. But I don't think personally, Kevin, that your focus is on making money. Yes, it's great to make money, but I don't think that having the money pulled, because the thing is that you could be bipping along doing a job that you love. Like just say you're a rock star or something and you're making lots of money and you're making lots of people happy. But then there comes a time where it feels stale, and that forces you to be more creative and do something different or new, and it doesn't always have to be money pulled out from you. That's definitely a catalyst for, this isn't working, I've got to come up with something new. And
that's my process for doing it. And if anyone's gone through that, then don't think you're on your own. And there's different ways that people have the spiritual rug pulled under them. For me, the reason I've banged on about money so much, even in this conversation, is that I've never, I've been one just to continue, just to sort of have enough and that be okay with that. Where actually deep down, that's not really what I wanted, to be honest with you. I wanted to have some money behind me to be able to do greater things, right? Not to use it just for myself, but to give it back in different ways. Like I'd like to put on big events, big spiritual events in the States. I would like to, one day, not too long, have a sort of spiritual news network in the future as well. So I've come to realize that my drive for wanting money is for bigger purposes than just myself. And it's almost like the universe is saying, you need to do this, Kev. Can't you feel this? You've got to come up with it yourself. It's free will here, but we're going to just push you a little bit just to know that those feelings are correct feelings. I could say to you, you've done law of attraction for so long, but you're not one for money. I could say that to you, couldn't I? You're not one for money.
Well, I don't do anything in the pursuit of money. I was a bit like you. I was working really hard and really frustrated that I wasn't earning a lot of money. And then a few years ago, I just let it go, because like you, I have big vision. And I wanted to create a beautiful, there's a beautiful center in the States called the Excellence Center, where you go to learn how to sing and dance and leadership programs and spiritual programs and meditation. It's just this delicious center on the coast of California. And I thought, why does Australia not have a beautiful centre like that? There are all these people doing their little things everywhere, all over the place. But there's not this big centre that, because I see so many and talk to so many amazing teachers, and they all say, I want to come to Australia. I want to have this platform where they can come and speak to Australians and they can pass through. And there's nothing like that. So I've got a vision to see that. And that's going to take a lot of money too. But at the same time, I just know that it's going to happen and the money will come. I think I told you when we were talking, Maharishi Yogi, I can never say his name right, but he was the guru to the Beatles. He created that big conscious university in the States, and somebody I had asked him when he was talking about it in the 70s or 80s, where's all the money going to come from? And he said, wherever it is at the time. He just had no doubt that it would be there. And that's how I feel. Like I just let go of stressing about the house.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. Focus on what you're doing now. Forget about what are the bigger picture sometimes. I mean, know what you want, right?
Yeah,
but you have to
focus on
let
the
go
now.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on the now. And I love that about your energy when you said that to me the other day when we were having a conversation. You were counseling me. I use that word, right? It was. I was just like, yeah, you know what? She's right. Just because I kind of feel like that as well. That I feel that for me, it's only my journey. That when money's going to come to me as it is, it's not that I'm going to not have it in my near future. It's almost like I don't want to save it all. I want to do something else with it, something better with it. It's not I would be disrespectful of money. It's that I just know when it comes to me in bigger amounts, there's something I'm going to do with that money that's going to go on and help even more people and myself in that process as well. It's not going to be hoarded. That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? I don't want that.
Here's what my guides have said to me about all this. Having the responsibility of seeing your big vision manifest means that you need to be a different person. Like you need to shift your idea of yourself. So if you manifested everything you want and you had this big company and you were dealing with lots of money, it would actually equal lots of time pressure, lots of stress. It would, and you'd have, in order to really enjoy your life, you have to be a really chilled out person and not sweat the small stuff. And they actually give you what you can handle at the time. And I've often thought about having all these big visions and not really seeing them manifest immediately. And I've looked back and I've thought, God, I'm glad that didn't manifest when I was, at that stage, And so to just chill out and know that, there is a broader perspective that knows exactly who you are vibrationally and knows exactly what you can handle and is guiding you every step of the way and is giving you exactly what you can handle at the time. And little by little by little. I think that, step by step, incrementally, Esther Hicks says that, things just unfold. Usually you don't win the lottery and then it all happens. It's usually just this unfoldment, the next logical step, the next logical step, the next logical step. And Chicken Soup for the Soul guy, what's his name? The beautiful guy that wrote that said, what's his name? Hansen. Anyway, he said, teacher that wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. Anyway, he said that it's like when you're driving in the dark and you've got the headlights on, you can see in front of you. And then as you drive down the road, the headlights are lighting up just that path in front of you. They don't light up the whole path. They're just lighting up the road in front of you. That's like life, that next logical step, next logical step. But we get really impatient and we try and manifest the big vision all at once. But it is this incremental step by step by step, because we are inside linear time and that's the energy we're playing with. And sometimes when you look back on your life, you start to think, gee, I'm glad that didn't happen faster. Whew.
Yeah. Was that guy called Jack Canfield?
Jack Canfield.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Yeah. That is so true, and that's let's turn that analogy to a relationship for someone out there that might be looking for a relationship. The more that you back off from someone and just let them be, the more that you find that if it's the right person, that they just will come to you. And that's a bit like the law of attraction in the sense of attracting something in your life. The relationship's the same as well. Yeah, do you want to say something with that? Because
Look, absolutely. Relationships are a mirror. They're a complete mirror. I remember when I broke up from my first husband, I used to sort of worry that he was full of shit. He was like a big bullshit artist. Not viciously. He just he just wasn't congruent with what he said and what he did, right? And then the next person I attracted was exactly the same. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm just attracting these bullshit artists. And so there must be something about me. I must be bullshitting to myself. I shouldn't be swearing, should I? But relationships are a complete mirror of who you are at the time that you attract that person into your life. And so people are always crying out for love, bring me the lover and bring me the relationship, but you're going to meet yourself. And unless you're completely in love with yourself, that person is going to push all your buttons. Like, it's just not going to be easy. The other thing that is even more amplifies who you are, is having children. Like, I remember my daughter said to me when she was young, I said, "Stop arguing with your mother." And she goes, "Well, where do you think I get it from?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough."
Yeah, I'm living with my brother's daughter right now as well. I mean, she's only like a year almost. Sorry, she's a year on the 19th.
Bless her.
Yeah. And that's been an eye opener for me. It really has. How having kids, sort of makes you come back into present moments straight away, right?
Totally.
Because I think that's one of the tricks of one of the tips, so I say, for the law of attraction, is being in, as we're saying, focus, being in the present moment.
Being in the now.
And yeah, I think as you get a bit older, you see things differently, don't you, from all different perspectives.
Yeah. The hindsight of age. I mean, I tell you, no one wants to grow older and see their skin wrinkle and all that sort of stuff. But the beauty of age is that you do just get this longer perspective of what you've been through, and you see how things slip into place, and you see how the universe is working for you and not against you, even in those times of trauma.
Right.
You
Good
see
point, Karen.
You see how all the contrasts that you lived. The biggest contrast that I lived when I was young was my mum died. So I'm 16, mum dies of cancer, right? But I was a bit of a bull at the gate. I really wanted to grow up fast, and I wanted to be the boss of my own domain. I didn't want anyone telling me what to do. And the universe gave me that. Dad wasn't around and mum dies. But that really woke me up, because I started thinking, why did she get sick? And where do you go when you die? And all those questions were really magnified in me. All the questions I had when I was a kid were sort of magnified. So you can see that it was a spiritual contract that I had with mum. You're going to go down, you're going to teach this stuff, I'm going to get sick, going to die, and then you're going to start asking a whole lot of questions, and as you find those answers, you're going to share those with others. You can see it in hindsight, the wisdom of hindsight. It's just when you're in the middle of the drama that it's hard to see why you're in the middle of the drama. And I think that as a reader and as a coach and as a teacher, that's what I help people with. I help people with that, to see the bigger picture, like in the middle of the drama, and to know that everything that is happening to you is happening for you. It's all for me. It's for me. It's happening for my greatest good. It's not happening because I'm a bad manifester or I have negative thoughts. All our negative thoughts are showing us what negative thoughts feel like, right? And then we can choose, do I want to feel like this, or I want to feel like crap for the rest of my life? I'm going to change how I think. If I didn't know how that thought felt, I would never know how that thought felt.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. I've never felt so empowered recently since going through what I've just been through recently, and actually, I'll just say this, it's so true. I don't even care about the money anymore right now, right? I just care about today.
But isn't that
it is, right? It's free. It's so much freedom, right? But also, I know that I'm building it all up now to do great things with. So I can only say that from my own personal experience of what you're saying is completely right. And when you get to that space, it's a beautiful thing, and it can be in all different scenarios. This is just my scenario that I'm sharing here. This could be all different ways as well. Here's what
I get when I tune into you. I mean, you've been talking a lot about money, because money in your current paradigm, in your current thought form, feels like or looks like the answer to your problems, because I've got a whole lot of things I want to do and money's going to help me do it. But I think that the strongest driving force inside you is to make a difference, but not to make a difference to a few, to make a difference to many. It's like this underlying drive, and it feels big, and it feels bigger than you know what I mean? And so that big feeling feels like you need a lot of money to make it happen. But as I said to you the other day, and I call my sessions reminders from home, because sometimes we need reminding over and over and over and over and over again until it really sinks into our heart and we feel it. You don't have to manifest the money. You can hold the vision and allow, however that's going to unfold. You're so in the how. So I've got to make the money to make this happen. That's being caught up in the how. And that's where we get stressed, because we're trying to do a job that's not our job. It's like we had the analogy the other day, the kitchen, getting in the kitchen and interfering with the chefs cooking the meal, right? We're trying to teach them how to cook the meal. That's the how. That's the right. I'm going to make a lot of money. How am I going to make a lot of money? Well, I've got to do it that way, and that's going to make me a lot of money. And then when I get the money, then I'm going to do this, and then it's going to change the world. It's just all mixed up in the how. The how to deliberate creation is always in, how do I feel? How do I feel? Does thinking about how to make a lot of money make me feel good? No, it actually stresses me out. And like, I had a client once who came to me, and she had a business she was an artist, and she made these amazing glass light boxes things. Anyway, so she came to me, I've got to know how to make my business succeed, because I'm amazing and my work is amazing, but I don't have enough money to buy the materials to make the orders, and then she's all in the stress, right? She's all in the how. How do I make this work? How? Anyway, we had a session, and it took me a while. Sometimes it takes a while to convince people to chill out and enjoy your life. Like Esther says, get happy. And she thought, oh, yeah, just relax, just chill out. So she actually went to do she wanted to do a course that weekend, a retreat. And she didn't have the money. It was like $350, and she really should spend the money on the material for a business so she could fill the orders, And she thought, blow it. I'm just going to do it because I want to do it, and it's going to make me happy. She met people there. She got 13 orders that weekend for her business. So when she chilled out and went away and did something she wanted to do, instead of working on the business, she got 13 or 17 orders. She just met people and social. What do you do? And she showed them, and they went, oh, that's amazing. I want to buy one of those, and it was so beautiful. She rang me after the retreat and went, oh my God, when we chill out, when we feel good, we're in that place of allowing life to bring you what you're asking for. You just got to get out of the how.
Who is your mob? Who are you connected with? What group is it?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Kevin. And we, as physical, separate identities, are always looking for identity. And as a young girl exploring this, I felt very sad that I had no name for my higher self. And I went to readers and psychics and asked them the name of my spirit guide, and everyone gave me a different name. One was an American Indian, or a Chinese person, or an Indian from India, or like every single time I went to a reader, I got a different answer. And I was looking for like that one being that was my spirit guide. And then one day they just were having belly laughs. They just belly laughed at me, like watching a child stumble around trying to learn to walk. And they said, oh my God, you're so funny. They said, seriously, you're the creator of everything, including us. We are a stream of consciousness with no identity. We've had many identities, many identities. If you're trying to pin one identity down to recognize us, that's just not going to happen. And I went, I said, well, how do I meet my spirit guide? They said, well, just create what you want to create and we'll appear like that. And I remember I did this meditation of meet your spirit guide, and I went on this guided meditation, and I said, I was a young girl at the time, well, I'd like a handsome man, please. And bang, a handsome man was there. But they're a stream of consciousness. They're a collective consciousness, as I said, with no identity. They're a mob. They've been many. They're the teachers. Esther calls them Abraham because, like me, at the time that she met Abraham, she was looking for a name and a person who was her spirit guide, and that was the name given to her. And she soon realized that she speaks to a stream of consciousness. And like many stream of consciousnesses, it's like water, people can come and go, and different energies can speak through you according to what you're addressing, according to who you're speaking to, according to the limitation that you're dealing with. So many different forms of consciousness speak through me. Sometimes they turn up with identity, like Dolores did. Do you think Dolores Cannon is really Dolores Cannon in her spirit world? She's been many different things, but Dolores Cannon is how, it's like an energy stamp. It's like how we recognize her because we saw her in that physical form. And they can appear to you like that. They can appear to you in any physical form. I remember, am I going to say this? Yeah, why not? I did say, okay, guys, I realize you're a stream of consciousness, but I would like an identity, please. Like someone step forward and show yourself as some identity. And Sananda stepped forward, who was Jesus, and said, you've been talking to me your whole life. Have you not recognized me? And I was like, oh, of course. But I was really put off by religion when I was young. So even to fathom that I was talking to Jesus did not fit with my logical mind at the time. But as I relaxed, I realized that he's not the representation of what religion has said he was. He's not the cause of all the wars, Christian wars, and he is a collective consciousness that is really about unconditional love. And he speaks to all of us. He's not just mine, but he is definitely one of the guiding forces. Yeah. So, yeah, did that answer the question? It didn't give you an identity.
Yes, it does. It does. And just to go back to Abraham, if you look at some past interviews, you'll see that Esther does say that Abraham is not one voice; it's a collective group. But for most people, they'll see it as one voice. I think we all have the ability to connect with this consciousness that's out there. And when you go to different readers and they give you different spirit guides' names, as you say, to that reader, that's what's coming through, because that's the aspect that's coming through at that moment of the consciousness that's connecting to you. But all those spirit guides are the same person. Maybe they're aspects of someone or that you've been in a past life coming through.
That's it. You got it. I just got this vision of, a mob, because I call them the mob, because when you look at a mob, it's like faceless and it has no identity. It becomes like one entity, but it's many entities. So that's the name they gave me when I was young. And then I called them blissful beings. I thought that was a prettier name, blissful beings. And
that was beautiful.
But the mob is kind of what I've called them for years. They just imagine a mob, and then there's like a little person going to a psychic saying, meet my spirit guide, and they're chuckling with each other and they say, show up as an American Indian. Okay, this time be Chinese,
And let's just say something from that. No, absolutely. Let's just say something from that, which I've just remembered what you taught me as well, which you said this morning, which was sometimes when you go see a reader, the reality that's coming through in that moment right now is the one that you're on the course for. If you continue the way that you are right now on the course that you're on, that's the reality they're picking up on. That's why when you go see different readers, sometimes they'll come out with a slightly different edge or a slightly different reality, because you've shifted. You've gone and seen another reader, and you've shifted your focus on where you are right now. That's why something else is coming through, because as you speak to them right now, that's where you're going. So if you get a reading that you don't like, or something comes through that some part of that reading comes through you're not too sure if it doesn't resonate with you, right? Then you've got to say to yourself, well, as I'm right now, that's the direction I'm going in. I'm not going to have that. Or she's saying that's not in my highest calling for me, or that is what I'm going to get, whatever it may be. So let's just stick on the scenario that you've been told that, maybe this person isn't quite right for you, or this wouldn't be the best for you. Then you have to say to yourself, well, difficult one, because I'm saying in one stance, that's the road you're going on right now. But they're saying also, this may not be the right one that's going to resonate with you. You have to say to yourself, well, okay, well, I'll see how that feels. Does that feel right? Would I still like to go through with that person, even though it may not be the right one that's going to resonate with me, right? Or as they foresee, it's not the right one for me. But I would like to give that a go. I think you've got to say to yourself, you're in charge, no one else. And you know what? They may be telling you something. What about if your spirit guides or your higher self is testing you? That what's coming through is a load of nonsense, because it's saying to you, listen guys, you're fucking taking responsibility here. We're not. And we will give you guiding points, of course, but if you're going to ask us, is this the right person? You come up with that yourself, because you told us before you incarnated that you wanted to take charge of all this, and that's what we wanted for you to grow. So we're not going to we'll give you some bullshit, because actually that's what you wanted us to give you, to truck you off, to get you back on alignment with listening to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you a couple of stories. And I said one of these on Taryn's show the other day. So when I was 18, four of us went to Hawaii. A girlfriend's father had a penthouse in Hawaii. So we went over there to party it up big, right? Anyway, and we went to the markets and we all had a reading. And I don't even remember what my reading was. But years later, I said to one of my girlfriends that I was, delving into this stuff and I was learning to be psychic and all that sort of stuff. And she said, I don't believe in any of that. And I said, why not? And she said, well, remember when we went to Hawaii and we had a reading? And I said, yeah. She said, that reader told me I was going to die young, a violent death. And I did. Like, she was probably late 30s or 40s at the time, and she was married with kids. And she said, therefore, it's all BS. And I looked at her and I said, that reader was right. You were going to die young, a violent death. Because at the time, when she was 18 or 19, she thought dating gangsters was really fun. So she would date older men, much older men who were sort of mixed up in some not kosher stuff. They were just not good.
Yeah. And
we all used to look at her and think, what the? But she found it exciting. We all said she had a grandpa complex, because these men were like, not only could they be her father, they could have been her grandpa. She used to love it. But this reader, yeah, I know. This reader said, you're going to die young, a violent death. And that shocked her. So she came home and thought, maybe I should start dating a boring man and settle down and have some babies. And that's exactly what she did. And she didn't manifest that timeline. But that was actually the timeline, the probable reality, the trajectory that she was on. In fact, one of those boyfriends was gunned down in the streets of Double Bay. He owned an Italian restaurant, and they made a big crime documentary about the whole scene, the whole criminal scene. And many of her boyfriends were in this documentary. And she made a decision because of that reading. So the reading didn't come true, but it actually shifted her reality. It shifted her timeline, because she made different decisions. She thought, I better clean up my act. So when I told her that, she looked at it in a different perspective, and she said, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Going from I don't believe it because it didn't come true to, wow, actually I made different choices having got that information. So it's interesting how we get these messages that come to us. And it is always up to us to, how do we feel about the reading? I think Buddha has been said to say that, don't believe anything I say, only believe in what feels good to you, because that's giving that power back. That's giving that power back to you. Mm.
Exactly. I'm not sat here saying don't have a reading, because not because I've got a business that's based on that, right? But because I'm not because everyone's got their gifts, and that's almost like saying, well, they're not worthy. I ain't saying that. What we're saying here is yes, just see how the bigger picture works, that you've been guided to go there, but self-responsibility still. And that's why on my network I am not promoting any addictions. Like some people say, oh, you want to be emailing your clients, get them to get another reading again if they've just had had one a month ago. I'm like, we are not doing that. No, they will come back to us. I know that's not very businessy in some sense, but I don't want that kind of addiction going on. Do you know what I mean? I want this to be a self-empowering network.
Yeah, but it's not about having readings as much as it is about having guidance. Because the thing is that when you're in your stressful thought, right, you can't hear your guidance because you're listening to your thoughts screaming at you. And it's in those times when we reach out for guidance, we reach outside of us. But I think that any reader should always help you calm down so that you can find that connection within. But we always, like I've had a client recently that has been through her dark night of the soul. And, she is a teacher, and the teachers get it the worst. They do. And she has been reaching out to me a lot. And, but at the same time, I can't answer the phone all the time or be there for her. And in those times where she reaches out and she doesn't find me at the end of the phone, she has to find that peace within her. And then she's done that. And then she's reached out to tell me, I did it. She rang me up in the middle of a panic the other day because she's been having panic attacks. And she said, I was just saying, maybe look at it from the perspective of, this is serving me and this is showing me how to be deliberate. Because she was just taking herself outside, away from life so that life wouldn't stress her out. And so the stress became even louder internally. And so she had to deal with it, within herself instead of trying to deal with it outside of herself. And so it got very, very loud. And so I asked her to appreciate the stress instead of trying to stop it or resist it or fix it or heal it. And so she's rung me the other day, and I did pick up the phone, and she's in the middle of a panic attack, and she's going, "Oh my God, this is fantastic. I'm loving it." Thank you so much for showing me how to love the stress. Yeah, and it was so funny. And my little niece was here, and she goes, "What is that? Is that one of your clients?" I said, "Yeah." Because, can we love it? Can we see all of it through the eyes of Source? Can we see all of it as the Leela, the play of life, the video game? Can we just enjoy it like the movie, like you enjoy a good movie? Because when you can enjoy the drama, man, that's when you really enjoy your life.
Yeah, that's so important, so important. Thank you for that. And I know we're almost at we're at the end now, right? And we've only kind of scratched surface stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're a little bit over time as well, which is cool. If you had to sum up the most important message you could give to the audience right now, what do you think that would be? Just something simple, I guess.
Most important message. Love yourself. Love all of yourself. Love your stressful thoughts. Love everything that's wrong with you. Love everything that's right with you. Just love, because that's what you're looking for anyway. You're looking for all the stuff, or you're looking for the lover, or you're looking for the guidance, or you're looking for all of it because you want to feel your connection to love, because your inner being or your higher self is that. I've interviewed a lot of near-death experience people, and that's the glue of the universe. That's the substance. Nancy Ryan said that when she was in heaven, everything was made of love. Like it was all love. Like love is what we're looking for. That feeling of elation, of bliss, of appreciation. Just think about love. When you're in love with someone, you're just in this rampage of appreciation. Oh my God, they're so beautiful. Oh my God, everything they do is fantastic. It's just this ramped up appreciation. That's what love is. So love yourself, like be really appreciative of every aspect of yourself, because that's how your inner being feels about you. It loves you unconditionally. You love you unconditionally, just like you would love a baby. And you see a baby cry or fall over or poop its nappy, you think all of it is just delicious and divine. And that's how your inner being feels about you. So when you feel that about you, you and your inner being or your higher self are one, and you're in alignment with everything you're asking for.
Absolutely. And your website for yourself is?
KarenSwain.com, honey one.
Excellent. Yeah, party on, dude. Yeah. Well, Karen Swain, I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your truth. And thank you for the help you've given myself as well. And lots of love to you. And until the next time.
Thank you, Kevin. Lots of love to you. We're going to get you on my show, and we'll tell your story in depth, in detail.
Most definitely. Blessings.
My name is Courtney Amundsen, and I offer private channeled readings to help you to connect with your soul and your divine purpose. You see, it's so beautiful because what I'm offering is to help you to step into your empowerment and your inner teacher, your inner divinity. And this is such a beautiful experience because it's coming home to your true self. It's unveiling what already is you. And in this place, you can live in guidance, you can live in freedom, you can live in your authenticity. So if this calls to you, you can book a reading with me at morechoice.com/Courtney. So thank you so much, and I hope that you join me soon.